我就看见那个第一栋楼在着火，我就站在那个窗口，就看见一架飞机飞过来了，反正好像有东西都飞出来，我就一直站在那边看。结果我是确实看得很清楚，有一个人是穿白色的衬衫、黑色的裤，像人家游泳跳水这样跳出来。
I think 9/11 was a pivotal event for the Asian community here in New York. There's been a real awareness that something needs to be done.
When we were attacked September 11th, Chinatown was very close to ground zero, and the human suffering was real and still part of the fabric of this community.
Everything came down. Couldn't see, couldn't breathe. It's terrible. I never seen nothing like it.
看见报纸上啊、电视啊，天天播放就是911，好像死了多少人啊，飞机里面多少人啊，房子里面多少人啊。因为要是没看见，可能就好像不会这么难受。我不知道华福诊所有看就是那个心理医生的，我是来看背痛的，我一直以为是背痛。我都搞不清到底怎么引起的，反正背痛了，我就是没办法睡觉。我到这边来看内科啊，那看了大概2次。我就发觉我不开心，他说要不要你帮你约一下方小姐，后来我就约了方小姐开始看心理医生。那方小姐跟陈医生确实帮了我好多。
Even though rates of serious and persistent mental illness in the Asian population is as high as in any other population, they use services at 1/3 or less the rate of the general population. And this does not mean they have less illness, it just means that they don't use the services as much. Because mental illness is so highly stigmatized in the Asian community, perhaps more than in other communities, Asians tend to not enter into professional care until they're very, very sick.
That's why the government has added Chinatown to the list of communities to receive special mental health outreach post 9/11. The program is known as Project Liberty, the mental health component of the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Its task is to enter communities reeling from natural or man-made disasters and educate people about the effects of post-traumatic stress disorder, as well as where to get mental health services.
觉得身体上有点不舒服啊
？911以后呢，我是病过一次，不知道为什么。
What are the major symptoms that people have been showing today in your outreach?
I met a Fujianese. He claimed the symptom that he has is shock.
We have reached over 12,000 people in the first 9 months of our programming. And to reach the people, we go everywhere. We go to the churches, the temples, the schools, the senior centers, because most of those people are not in the mainstream, not in awareness of mental health or counseling services. We reach them.
Many schools were evacuated the day of September 11th, including the Transfiguration School. It's located in the heart of Chinatown along Mott Street. Many of the students witnessed the events as they unfolded.
When I think of September 11th, and I think of what happened in the city, and especially at Transfiguration, there's such a flood of emotions. It was after morning prayers. I was up at the 8th grade classroom, and I remember hearing a tremendous crash. And that's when they had gotten word that an airplane had crashed into the World Trade Center.
Well, actually, school had just started. We were sitting in reading class, and we're actually in the classroom that we were in, and we heard the plane crash. And the students that were sitting in the back there, I mean, you can't see it now, but at the time we had a perfect view of the Trade Center, and so the students actually saw the Trade Center on fire.
And I asked the secretaries to look at the emergency cards to see what parents were working there, to see, because we didn't want to tell the children.
We were having our first reading class, and all of a sudden at around 9 o'clock, some of our teachers were in the hallway crying and feeling very upset. We didn't know what was happening. An announcement came on. Ms. Suzanne said that there was a plane crash in the World Trade Center.
And like 15 minutes later, a second plane hit. And then later in the morning, Suzanne announced that we're supposed to be dismissed. and then everybody left, and then the others who were left over, like, have to go downstairs to the auditorium to wait for our parents.
Parents started coming in one by one to pick up their children to leave. And what was probably the saddest was the children who weren't getting picked up, whose parents were working in the Trade Center. So it was awful, and it was just absolutely awful. There's no other way to describe it. I don't know whether there's an angel over the school or what, but every single parent that worked down there made it out of the Trade Center. Even the ones, there were a few that had been on, I think, you know, the upper floors who had to walk down.
On September 11th, when it happened, I was in my first reading group, and Ms. Suzanne just announced that a plane had crashed into the World Trade Center. All of a sudden, I felt sad, angry, and surprised. I thought it was like I was like I was watching a movie, and I was so horrified. And when I got home and I turned on the TV, on all the channels that I flipped through, they showed the pictures of the World Trade Center and what was happening, and there was a big fire and everything. I was just horrified, so I sat home and I just studied and everything.
I know the children are suffering. I know they won't show it, their faces like that. They will go on. But deep inside of them, there is that part of them that will always be there. We have taken away their security.
We had counseling here at the school, and one of the things that the counselors had said to us was, this isn't going to go away in a few weeks. This will linger, and the thing of it is, none of us knows how long it will, what the enormity of it will be, because we've never experienced anything like this. But it will manifest itself in various ways throughout the year. We just have to be, you know, attentive to that.
Okay, so what I need you to do...
And sure enough, it really has, whether it's in their writing, a lot of anger, a lot of very, very sad images. They often write about death.
Most mental health experts or children mental health experts would agree that waiting for a problem to show up is an absolute mistake when it comes to children. Because children, number one, tend to not express themselves in the typical way that we would expect a person to complain about problems. Children are not aware, really, sometimes of their own fears. Children also are very much dependent on their adults, parents, guardians, and so on, to look out for them. If the parents are not attuned to the fact that mental health problems can present themselves in children in sort of different ways than one would expect, how is that child going to get help? What we want to do is really, I think, educate parents about how to talk to their children about events like 9/11, but also prepare them for other kinds of events that may occur in the future. I mean, it really can shake the foundation of what kids think are going to be the hopefulness for their lives.